Ready.
Hey, welcome to Facebook Live. It is a Thursday night. You are at the DBC Inc. Facebook Live, also streaming on YouTube, I think. And I have a special guest here tonight. I am joined by the author of Dragon Smart, the author of Make Learning Magical, and also the Edu Protocols Canva ebook, Tisha Richmond. What's going on, Tisha?
Hi, I'm so glad to be here. I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. I was just had all kinds of time this afternoon, just here waiting early to hop into this Facebook Live. Didn't it all just jump out of my car and run in the house with the McDonald's Diet Coke that I shouldn't have stopped to try to get after the gym.
Oh my God.
But here I am.
You're
I
not
made
even
it.
out of breath though.
I'm not even out of breath. No, that's my high level of fitness coming
Right.
through right there.
It's a good thing you went to the gym.
Yes. Hey, as you are joining us, please pop over there into the comments and let us know who is here, who is watching with us. And that means I gotta get my glasses on, I suppose. And look at this, look at this, look at this. We have already gone international. That's right. Anik Roque from Winnipeg, Canada, Winnipeg, Manitoba in Canada is here. And I know Anik just recently started her school year. So welcome back to the trenches of first grade and back to the classroom. So that's awesome. I'm glad to see that you're back there with those kids, making a difference. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, so everyone pop in over here. Let us know who's watching, who is here. Just to give you a little geography lesson, I am now located not too far from Tisha Richmond, by the way. So I am here in Vancouver, Washington. And that is the very, very southernmost portion of the state of Washington, right across the Columbia River from Oregon. And that's where Tish is, but Tish is also in a very extreme part of of her state. So where are you at, Tish?
I'm in the southern part of the state. So if you drove from Vancouver, where Dave is, about 4.5-ish, depending on traffic, hours south, then you would come into Medford, Oregon, and that's where I live. So kind of a little bit of a different climate than Northern Oregon. A lot of times people think of Oregon as really rainy and wet, and we're a little drier on the bottom of the state. But, similar, we have lots of rivers and lakes and forests, and it's beautiful.
Beautiful area. Yeah, absolutely. So you're basically, whereas I'm right across from Portland, Oregon, you're right across from the top of California there. Yeah, so.
Yep, right over the Siskiyou Mountains.
That's right. That's actually a beautiful drive when you go from Redding, California, and drive into Medford. Like you go through those mountains there, and it's like gorgeous.
Yeah, it's super pretty. And the Oregon coast is really pretty too, Dave. You should check it out.
Yeah, I should go there, huh? Now that I live in Washington, I should go to everyone's telling me Seaside, Cannon Beach, like all these different places. Like Bend, go to Bend.
Yeah,
which is not the coast, but also a place that people go. So, and you have to visit absolutely one day. We would take you to all the cool waterfalls, Multnomah Falls, and all those surrounding falls. And there's a hike that I am dying to do. It is a 7-mile hike, which on that 7-mile hike, you see 10 waterfalls, including like 3 of them that you can walk behind.
that's amazing.
Yeah, so for a 7-mile hike to see 10 waterfalls, I'm in. If you would see the hike that I took, a 6.2 something mile hike this week, in order to see what they claimed was a waterfall, which was basically a little trickle of water over some rocks.
I saw that.
Yeah, it was. There's like just a little creek like running over some rocks, and like it's called. The whole trailhead is named after this waterfall. And that can't be the waterfall. We like looked all around thinking there has to be something. We have to be missing something. Nope, that was the waterfall.
I bet it's the time of year because I was kind of the same. I was in Utah last week and they told me to go see Bridal Veil Falls on the way to Park City. And it was pretty, but it wasn't spectacular. And I'm sure that at certain times of the year, it's, a lot more so. But
a lot more water flow. Yeah.
So I think what this means, Nick, is we need to find a run somewhere in the Pacific Northwest that we can all go to. We can all run a half marathon or a 5K or something.
They do have the famous, like, what is it? The Hood to Coast relay race.
That's a
Yeah.
brutal one. I don't know that we're up for that.
Yeah, we might not be up for the hood to coast. Yeah, that's true.
No.
Yeah, I think there's a famous marathon in Oregon, which is there right there by the college, like where the Olympic trials were and stuff.
In Eugene?
Yeah, somewhere around there, there's a famous half and marathon, I think.
It's definitely running territory for sure. And I actually ran my very first marathon. Well, my first and only marathon that I ran, like the whole thing, was in Portland. And they have it. I don't know what time of year it is, but that's definitely one we should check into. I don't know that I'm up for the full ever again, but the half, I'm definitely down for that
Yeah, we're half fans. We're 10K and half fans.
for sure.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
my speed.
So I have all sorts of things to talk to you about today, Tisha. And so the first one where I wanted to start was you just recently put out a blog post, which lots of people have been reading and enjoying. And I know you shared that Matt had shared the blog post and had read Matt Miller had shared it, read it. And so fill
Sweet.
us in on this. First of all, this latest blog post, what it's about, and also where they can find it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, tisharrichmond.com is where I write my blogs. And so if you go to that site, you're going to find it there. And, I'm heading back into the classroom, and I haven't been in the culinary classroom for 6 years. I spent a majority of my career there, two different locations. I taught in Southern California and San Diego for my first 5 years of teaching. And then I moved up to Oregon and I taught in the Medford School District for many years, over a decade. And I loved it. And then just the last 6 years, I've taken kind of a different journey. I was a tech integration specialist, a student engagement and PD specialist within the district, supporting teachers of all grade levels. And then 3 years ago, I started working with Canva, Wasserman, but as a Canva learning consultant, getting to support districts that onboarded Canva for Education. And so my day to day has been very, very different the last 6 years. And this opportunity came up to go back into the classroom as a culinary teacher at the rival high school across town from where I taught before, which is interesting. And I don't know, like it honestly happened all so fast that I don't even know. I can't even process all my thoughts around it. But there was something that was tugging at my heartstrings to get back into the classroom again. And, when I think about this last year, whenever I saw like a culinary posting for a job, like it got my attention. And I don't think I really realized it was getting my attention. But now looking back, I'm realizing that I think I was just missing being in that environment with kids and getting to use that part of my creative, innovative brain that I hadn't used in that same capacity for a while. And it's been a very, very fast transition. 4 weeks ago, I don't think I even had a inkling of a notion that, well, maybe 4 weeks ago I did, but not much more than that had I really even thought this was going to be a thing. And so I've really just been processing what this looks like to be able to, be back in the classroom again. It's really, really crazy. And I'm super excited about it. And I'm just realizing I'm panicking because I see my low battery coming on. So I'm going to run and get my charger. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
But
no
I'm
problem.
going to do that. And then I'm going to talk about what this blog post is all about. So
Yeah, for sure. So
yeah,
I'll greet some people here. So first of all, Ryan, thank you so much for joining. And Ryan, you know what it's like to step into a new role, new job, and all that, and we kind of thrown back in there again. And David, thank you very much for joining also from California. Good to see you, David, popping in here for us. And as Nick said, meant to be, yeah. And so what's kind of interesting about this, Tisha, is that you told me that oddly enough, this kind of last minute job emergency opening kind of thing is really how you got into this whole thing to begin with, right?
totally. Yeah, it's so crazy because when I started teaching in Medford the first time, I had been full on mom mode for 5 years. We'd moved to Oregon. My kids were little itty bitty, and I just wanted to be at home with them for a bit. And I just settled into that. And I was loving it. I had a great time being all in as a mom. And I was at the grocery store one day, and this was like a week before like in-service week started in the district. And I get this call from the vice principal at the high school, and they knew me. They knew that I had been a teacher and taught culinary arts in the past. And so they said, just talk to your husband, Russ, and he doesn't think you're going to be interested, but he said to give you a call anyway. We have this position opened up for culinary, and it's a week out before school year starts. And I just was wondering if perhaps you'd be curious, because we really need somebody desperately for this position. And my husband really didn't think I was going to say yes or even be interested. But there was something, I think it is that same kind of thing, that same tugging on my heartstrings then, that was like, yeah, I kind of am curious. Like, I want to hear more about this. And like within a week, I was back in it and teaching. It was a halftime position, which made it a little bit of an easier transition. But I was halftime teaching culinary arts and interior design at the high school. And I loved it. I loved it. I loved that position. And this exact same thing, not exactly the same scenario, but exactly the same time frame happened with this position, in that the school was left without a culinary teacher about a week before in-service. And they reached out and said, Tisha, are you at all even curious? And I said, yeah, I am kind of curious. And that's how it's all began. However, I needed some time. I needed some transition time because I had commitments with my Canva role. I was going to Utah. I did go to Utah last week to present, and I had some virtual things, and I just couldn't pick up and just start. And so it's been really interesting to transition this past 3 weeks. It's been a complete whirlwind as I'm finishing up all my obligations with my Canva role, and then really trying to onboard my students in the most exciting way possible and not be there, which has been crazy. And so that, I'm going to talk about the blog, and I'll kind of tie in some pieces about that. But communication, as I was thinking about moving into this role, and the fact that I can't be there, like I can't be there in person right now. So how am I communicating to them through this guest teacher that I have, right? And what is that going to look like when I'm actually there in person? Because I've got to pick up for lost time, right? Like there's 3 weeks that I haven't been in person with those kids. So what am I going to do to get to know them as quickly as I can? What am I going to do to alleviate the anxiety that they might be feeling because I haven't been there the first 3 weeks of school? How am I going to get to know the things that they love? And how am I going to be able to communicate clearly those expectations and those procedures, and just how the class is going to operate once I get there? Because we're going to go, like we have to go. And so that's really where my blog came into being. I tied in this recent flight that I went on, and Dave knows that flying is not my favorite. I have come a long, long way, but when the skies get bumpy, I don't like it. And I have found that over time, the flights that I go on, where the captain is on that intercom and he's telling us what's happening, and he's telling us like any changes in plans and why we might be experiencing rough air, like my blood pressure immediately goes down. However, flights where there's no communication, I think, oh my gosh, like the captain does not have everything under control. Maybe they can't even get on the intercom because they're so stressed that we're going to crash. Like all the things are going through my mind.
They're passed out in the cockpit.
Right. There might not even be anyone flying this plane. Like, what are we going to do?
They're unconscious.
No. I mean, but for somebody that has anxiety about flying, like all of the worst things, right, are going through your mind. And so I was thinking about that and just really applying that to the classroom and what we can do to clearly communicate with our students so that that anxiety comes down for them, and that they can have the best experience possible in the class. And it's wild how just like being in it again, it's like all of those things come like full they take full stage, right? Because we just, I was worried going into this position, like, is this like riding a bike? Like, am I going to remember? Am I going to
Right.
really remember how to teach? And it's all coming back, but there's some really important things that I want to make sure that I do when
Yeah.
I begin this new role.
Yeah. Ryan says that he agrees. I agree too, actually. I'm not a very stressed out flyer, but I do like it. I don't like it when things are or like when there's delays and things like this. And like, it's just so easy for them to get onto the intercom and say, here's why we're delayed. Here's what our estimate is. And we'll get back to you as soon as we find more information. Just that little communication like that makes all the difference in the world of just making you not angry as you're just sitting on like a
Yeah.
tarmac somewhere or something like that. And so I think that's really that's a good point.
Hmm.
That's so important. And I know that you created a whole like gamified experience for them that they can do virtually, like or they can do with the computers that while you're not there, that they can work their way through and
Yeah.
kind of build up some anticipation, excitement for. And then when you guys, when you come, you're going to hit the kitchen. I also know part of this journey has been, I've seen you sent me a couple of videos of what your culinary classroom looked like when you took this job, and then what you had to do to bring it into a position where like you could feel comfortable having kids working in this space. And that was quite a journey in of itself too. You had to put in a lot of work, I know.
Yeah, it has been a journey, but it was really actually cool going through that process of really like making it my own and really being able to look through like the history of the room, right? Like there's been so many amazing people in that space that have done have taught kids. And so just to be able to kind of sort through and see what's there and then be able to organize it in the way that makes sense to me and the way that I teach was really important. And it's a very cool space. I had a cool space in my other classroom when I taught at the other high school across town, but this is very much like the industrial restaurant kitchen.
Mhm.
And I have very defined areas. Like I have a dish area, like a dish room area with like a 3-bay sink. I have it's looks like a restaurant kitchen in that back space. I have like the cages of all the equipment. I have amazing equipment. And then I have a full 8 kitchen, like it's a whole room with 8 kitchen spaces for kids to cook in with the stainless steel like prep tables. And then I have a whole other classroom that's just, it could be a cafe. Like it actually has like the swinging restaurant doors and you could make it into a full like restaurant or cafe space. And so I'm really, really grateful. It's going to be an awesome space to work in. And I'm really grateful for my guest teachers that have been there the last 3 weeks. So I had somebody that was there for the first 2 weeks and 2 days. And I worked very closely with her, and she was just amazing. I had a very kind of unconventional plan, surprise, surprise, for my students for those first few weeks. And I did. I could even show it if you want me to, but I had a full website that I created for them with levels, and every level had a set of missions that they could click on and it would open up and it would be me talking. I did a full video for them with all the links of how they were going to submit. I wasn't even in the grade book yet, so I had ways for them to submit through Google Forms. And I wanted them to see my face. I wanted them to hear me speak so that they could hear me giving those instructions. Again, part of that being clear, right? And communicating where they could hear my voice. They could actually watch me going through what I wanted them to do. And I wanted to build that level of anticipation and excitement because I'm gamifying my classes. Again, surprise, surprise. I have a MasterChef theme for Culinary 1 and a Amazing Race theme for Culinary 3. And so I had that, I do always like a promo trailer. So I had that on the website, and every level that they pass, they get a mystery badge. I actually have them right here with a scratch off sticker. And then I don't think I have my mix-ins here, but I have a little mix-in card that they get, which is going to unlock a free mix-in ingredient when we get into the labs next week for my first time. But the guest teacher was so great about just going along with the plan. I did it too because I didn't know if I was going to have multiple guest teachers or just one. And so I wanted something that kids just knew what to do and they just went, right?
Right.
But she was so, so amazing. And I panicked a little bit when I realized that Tuesday was going to be her last day, because apparently if you go longer than 10 days, it just changes like from it changes into like long-term status or something. There's something funny that happens. And so I started panicking because I was going to get another guest teacher in my room for the rest of the week. And I'm supposed to start on Monday. And so luckily I have just one person that was there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But I asked them if they wouldn't mind if I just came in Wednesday, because Wednesday was a pretty light day for me with meetings and such. If I could just go in and welcome my students and introduce myself and see them face to face and have one-on-ones with them. And it was the best day. I got to just talk to them a little bit about like who I am and why this has been kind of a strange start. And I got to sit with each one of them and like talk to them about their missions and ask them questions about themselves. And it was just what I needed, I think, to be able to just make it all real. Like these students are actually real people, and for them to see me and realize like she's actually not a figment of our imagination. She's not a cartoon character. She actually is a real life human.
They might have thought you were like AI.
Right. They might. I know. It totally could have been. So yeah. So it was really great. And then I just have today and tomorrow. I wasn't in the classroom, but I will be there fully on Monday, and we're going to begin these adventures. So you can be looking out for lots of posts from me. I'm definitely going to bring you all on this adventure with me.
Yeah, so that's one of the things I'm excited about is to, I know you're going to do a great job of documenting this journey back to the classroom and all the different things. You've been creating stuff now for a couple of years and all that. And so now you get a chance to go in there, not only the stuff that you used to do, but now you have some new ideas and all that you get to test in the real world, under fire with kids, and then report back and see how it all goes. And I'm sure as the year goes on, you're going to hone things, refine things, come up with some new ideas. And I think it's going to be, it's like going to be a jump start to your creative output.
For sure. Well, it's funny too, just today, like some kids were getting done with the levels faster than I thought. And the sub communicated that with me. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I like went into, it's like funny how when you're under fire, like the creative juices sometimes just have to flow. And so within a period of 2 hours, I created a full breakout experience for them that they can do tomorrow when they come to class. That's going to unlock the first place we're going in the Amazing Race on Monday. But like I had to do it because kids were waiting, like they were ready for the next thing. And so like there was no like stalling, like go time. Like I've got to get those creative juices flowing. And so it is interesting how when you're thrown into it, like you just have to make it happen.
Okay, so I can't leave this question unasked. Where's the first place that you're going on the Amazing Race? What are they making?
Well, what if students are listening, Dave?
Oh, so it's a secret? We can't reveal it?
This is a hook. You guys have to wait and see.
Okay. You're gonna report back to us though.
Yes. I will report back on Monday.
Awesome. Hey, so another thing I wanted to chat with you about is tomorrow is a special day in your life. Not just because it's the Friday before you start teaching on Monday,
right?
But it marks an anniversary of a certain sorts. And so why don't you tell us what anniversary you will be celebrating tomorrow?
Yes, Make Learning Magical was born in 2018. So, oh my goodness, quick math. So what
6
is that?
years.
6 years ago.
This is the 6-year birthday party.
It's wild. And it's just been set. It really is. I mean, I use the word magical a lot, but it really has been a magical 6 years to have been able to bring that to life thanks to you and to be able to.
Ryan says, hey, I have that book right over here.
You're so awesome, Ryan. So it just, it's super special. I'm super grateful for the journey that it's taken me on, and just to get to share my story with others and to get to share that story too, not only through the book, but it's opened up opportunities for me to go and present and talk to educators across the US and share with them, my passion for making learning magical for all students. And so, it is a very special day, and the magical adventures are just going to continue. So I'm going to have lots to add to it, hopefully in the next year.
So if you are listening to this and you're hearing her stories about gamifying the class and these amazing race things and Master Chef, all that, and you want to know how to do that in your classroom with your content, make sure you pick up Make Learning Magical. Lots of the secrets and the different elements of gamifying classrooms are in there for you, and lots of other things too. And so pick up Make Learning Magical. Maybe you could help celebrate the 6th birthday by grabbing a copy if you don't have a copy of it yet.
That would be amazing. I would love that. Yes.
That'd be a great birthday present for Make Learning Magical. Speaking of book birthdays, there was another thing that I wanted to address, and that is that on the last couple of Facebook Lives, I've been teasing a big project release and saying we have this secret project. It's under wraps. Like we're not telling you, but there's reasons why we can't tell you about it. So sorry, and all this. And the last time I was on here, I said it's basically coming out tomorrow, but I don't want to break it because I want to give the author the chance to like say it first, all that kind of stuff. And so if you're listening to this, you probably know by now because it's been all over social media. But Dave Burgess Consulting partnered with Ron Clark from the Ron Clark Academy, and we put out Be 1% Better. There it goes. Look, Tisha got hers too. All right.
Just got it. I'm so excited.
Yes. Be 1% Better. Surprisingly simple ways to transform your school by the legendary Ron Clark. He's a New York Times bestselling author. He's been on Oprah Winfrey. He's been a Disney Teacher of the Year. He was on season 38 of Survivor. Anything you can imagine educate. He runs his own school. He founded with Kim Bearden, who's also a DBC Inc. author, founded the Ron Clark Academy, which is not only a fully functioning school, but it's also a demonstration school where teachers come year round, and the classrooms are set up like they have stadium seating. Some of the classes, they have stadium seating where teachers can sit and like and up and observe what's going on in the classroom. And then it's a whole professional development experience where you get to learn the kind of the Ron Clark Academy innovative strategies and styles of teaching and all that kind of stuff, and actually see kids going through their school day and see teachers teaching these students. So it's quite a remarkable and unusual place. It's been referred to as the Hogwarts of teaching. It's a magical place. And so it's a great honor to work with Ron to publish Be 1% Better. And so, yeah.
And it's so I have, my life has been a little bit crazy in the last few weeks, but I have been flipping through it and already finding some such great stuff. In fact, he has this one section that he talks about Guess the Masked Teacher. And that's totally up my alley. I was thinking about taking an idea that he had in there and bringing it into my class because I have every unit, I have an opportunity for students to demonstrate their learning in front of an authentic audience. And I thought, oh my gosh, how fun would it be if we did some type of a thing with like the masked teacher, and like, yeah. I don't know, like I think that there could be something really cool there. And so just as I'm flipping through, I'm like, it's sparking all of these ideas. And so definitely encourage you all to pick it up. It's a great, great read from what I already read.
Yeah, it's fun read, which is, just like the book said, just like the title says, these aren't big lifts. These aren't things about changing everything you do in your classroom. This isn't like, these are like, hey, you can read this today and maybe tomorrow or next week, you're going to just be able to pop a little idea in that is going to like kind of change the culture of your classroom. And it's for everyone in the school system. It's for administrators. It's for the custodial staff. It's for counselors, office admin, like the whole thing. You're going to find something that you'll be able to do in there. And just this whole idea of like, hey, teachers are overwhelmed right now, but maybe there's some little tweaks we could do just to get a little bit better at least. And kind of embracing that whole mindset. And it was an honor to write the foreword for it too. So I think on my podcast, my next podcast, I'm going to read the foreword of the book. So hopefully I'm going to get that out before the end of the weekend. And that's going to kickstart this whole podcast journey again for me. Hopefully I'm going to start getting some more episodes out. I know that you and Liz Bostwick just dropped an episode on the Spark Joy and is it EDU? Spark Joy and EDU podcast. An interview. I don't know if you've ever heard of this educator. She lives in the Cincinnati, Ohio area, but they had a chance to interview. It's like Tara Martin, I think it was. Is that her name?
The baddie from the Natty, as you refer to her.
The baddie from the Natty, Tara Martin, is on there. She wrote a couple books. Be Real, Cannonball In, with some publisher. And yeah, so you get a chance to listen to Tara Martin on the podcast with Elizabeth Boswick and Tisha. So that's a good one. Oh no, this is why I shouldn't say things.
What did you say?
I said I was going to put a podcast out before the end of the weekend.
Yeah.
Why do I say these things? Okay. And then, yeah, you're right, Nick. This is, as an overwhelmed teacher, you know that sometimes it's not about changing everything you do. Teachers don't want to hear that right now. But maybe you can find a little small tweak or something that can be done that doesn't take a lot of energy, effort, or money, resources, anything like that to become better. So I agree. It's perfect for overwhelmed teachers. Yeah, so I guess I have to do that podcast now.
Get on it, Dave. You got to get it done.
Yeah, okay. I'll work on it. So I'll record it, and then I'll try to get it out. I know that on your podcast with Liz, you guys are pretty quick on getting those episodes out. Like I noticed that maybe in your banter back and forth with Liz at the beginning of that podcast, you talked about how you had kind of a slow May. But dropped it in September. But hey, you know, it's all right. I'll work on mine this weekend and see when I can see if I can get it out before the end of the year.
Oh gosh.
Oh, before we go, there is one more thing that I want to share with you because it's exciting. It just arrived in the mail today. Most of you, this will not be a big deal for, but dun, 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 dun,
beautiful. Those are that's my favorite color. That teal blue is my very favorite. I want those. I hope they come in my size.
So they're a little, I mean, I wear size 15, first of all, so they're big no matter what shoe I wear, but this, I mean, it's a high stack cushioned, it's called the Ghost Max 2, a Brooks Ghost Max 2. And it's supposed to be like, it has a little more of the kind of the rocker of a Hoka, but the Brooks version of it, and high cushion. And so I need high cushion with my feet problems right now. And so I'm excited to try this weekend. Besides the podcast, I'm going to get out there and run in my new Ghost Max 2 Brooks shoes. And so I'm excited about that. And let's see, what is this? Dave, record yours tomorrow, but mention a June run. There you go. Exactly.
That's how you do it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we all want new shoes. Yeah, hey, shoes are like books. There's an unlimited budget for books in the world. Like books are like dessert. Even if you're full from dinner, you can still have dessert. And just like no matter what your budget is, you can always buy a new book. Books are a separate. Books don't count. And so books don't count into any budgets. You can buy as many as you want, especially if they have little pirate heads on the side of them. But same thing with shoes. Like you can't have too many shoes, too many running shoes in particular.
Yeah, that's what Nick says. Can you explain that to my hubby? Same. I have so many shoes.
Yeah. Well, so the secret is that you need to make sure that they don't arrive in a box at your house. What you need to do is have them delivered to like a friend's house or something like that, and then you just put them in your closet, and then he's never going to know the difference. And so that's the key. That's the secret. It's when the boxes arrive at the door and they bring them in, and you say like, "What did you like? You ordered another something?" Like, no, have boxes delivered to friends' houses.
Shoes are important, I have to say. You need good shoes.
Yeah. All right. Well, Tisha, thank you so much for joining me on Facebook Live. We're excited to celebrate your book birthday tomorrow on Make Learning Magical. I'm sure we'll see that all over social media. It'll be on my social media as well. And congratulations on jumping back into the classroom. And we can't wait to hear how that goes for you. So Monday morning, you'll be right there in the classroom with kids. And what a lucky group of students who get to go through your culinary class. And I know they're going to be excited about it and fired up about the gamified section of it, but then also learn all kinds of cool stuff. I know one of the cool things that has happened to you is see kids who have left your class and gone on to become chefs and gone on to work in restaurants and to do things like that. And so maybe you have some future chefs that you'll be training over the course of this next year.
Yeah, it's actually really cool now that there's been a little bit of space. I have some amazing former students that are like, yeah, legit chefs in the area that I would love to come in and do some guest appearances. So I have lots of people to connect with.
How cool would that be, that they're like in a restaurant working as a chef, and then they come in and say that like they were a student in this class and then they went on into the industry and work? Like that would be so powerful for the kids to see that and think like, oh my gosh, like I think that would just be super motivating for them.
Yeah, yeah, I can't wait. I have lots in store. So let's get it started. Monday
Oh,
morning. Here we go.
one more thing. I keep saying like one more thing. Recently, that author, Tara Martin, came to Oregon and you guys drove to the coast.
Yeah.
And Tara had a presentation, and then you guys traveled up the coast a little bit there and like looked at the ocean and the redwoods and all that kind of stuff. But one of the things that I got a kick out of is sometimes people, like I've been out of the classroom for a while and I'm kind of like this mythological creature that people don't think is real. Like people think that I'm AI. Like when I meet people in person, they're always just like, oh, they're surprised I'm real. They think I'm just like some like social media creation or something. And you got a chance to have a woman come up to you at that presentation and say that she was one of my basketball players. Like I coached this, she was at the school that I taught at. She knows my classes and all that kind of stuff. And I was her basketball coach for several years. So that was cool that you got to meet one of my players in this case, but players/students.
It was so cool. And it was just so cool just to hear from her perspective at like what a difference you made in her life, and hear just like little tidbits of, you know, like what that looked like to be in a school where you taught, and to get to hear all of the commotion next door and all the things that were going on in your classroom. And because I think she was on your team, but she wasn't in your class.
Right.
So
she was an advanced placement student, like an AP high-end advanced placement student. So she took AP US history, which I didn't teach. So, but all her friends were in my class.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, I just so wished I was in there, because you'd hear all the excitement and all the amazing things happening. And no, it was just, she spoke very, very highly of you. So it was very cool to get to meet her and to get a little glimpse into what life was like
back in the day.
Yeah.
I always like when people run into my students, because like I said, it's just been like, there's like, oh, yeah, that's right. He was actually a teacher. And I taught for 17 years at high school, and had like 180 students every one of those years, 180, 85 students. And so I've got like thousands of students out there. But sometimes people forget that.
Yeah. No, that was such a fun trip. That whole trip was cool. It was perfect weather, just really good time. So
yeah. All right, cool. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining in. Thank you for watching the Facebook Live, whether you're watching live now or whether you watch the replay. We really appreciate you being here, spending a little bit of time with us during this crazy beginning of the school year stretch. I know it's rough to find some extra minutes, and you spent some of those minutes with us. We appreciate that. And Tisha, thanks again for joining me. And so everyone, have a fantastic night. We're signing off.
Bye, everyone. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me, Dave.